straight to my next guest, Sir James Cleverly, Conservative MP and Shadow Local Government Secretary, joins us right now to talk about those postponed elections in various parts of the country. A very good morning to you, Sir James.
Julia, good morning.
Well, you've been pretty forceful on this. You're not sitting on the fence. A scandalous attempt to subvert democracy. Tell us why you think that.
Well, democracy doesn't exist without elections. And when the party of government, and look, this isn't just a one-off. Regarded that quote, to cancel one set of elections might be regarded as a misfortune. To cancel two sounds like, negligence. People have the right to choose who represents them at local government level, at county government level, at national government level. And when the government now, for the second time in a row, cancels elections, that just stinks. It absolutely stinks. And we are in a period where a lot of people are very cynical about politics, very cynical about politicians, and this will add to that cynicism. Yeah. I love democracy. It can be brutal. We got kicked out of government because of elections. You don't cancel elections just because you don't think you're going to do well. I think this is a big part of what's driving this Labour thinking.
Yeah, well, that's it. No one thinks that if Labour was going to be winning these elections, they would be cancelling them. The thing I find extraordinary, their argument is that, and this is for Essex, Hampshire and the Solent, Sussex and Brighton, and Norfolk and Suffolk, they're going to have their polls pushed back. I mean, not a few months, not a year, but 2 years. And their argument is they need more time to complete their reorganisation. I don't understand why a country which can hold a general election where every single adult in this country was able to vote 2 months after VE Day in 1945 is incapable of organising a local election after a slight reform of the system of local, with layers and tiers of supposed democracy within 2.5 years. I find that pretty worrying.
Well, I just don't believe them, Julia. It's as simple as that. I just don't believe them. They had the opportunity to do the preparatory work before they announced that they were going to have mayoral structures in Sussex, Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, Suffolk and Norfolk, and in my county in Essex. It was their choice, the central government's choice, to pursue this timescale. They are the decision maker on this. They are drafting the legislation. They are driving this forward. They're now trying to blame local councils. And I've spoken to my colleagues at the Local Government Association, which is the kind of the trade body for local government. I have spoken to a number of the candidates directly. They were ready. Yeah. It would have been a push, but we don't stop doing things just because they're not easy. Yeah. This is a combination of arrogance and incompetence by the Labour Party. And I think people have the right to be very angry about it. I'm furious about this. I'm a Democrat at heart, and cancelling elections is not what we do.
No, indeed. And what's interesting, of course, is, I mean, some of these areas, these have been delayed by 3 years. They were supposed to have been held in May this year, so they're actually being delayed by a total of 3 years. Now, it's fascinating. Reform UK have also been very critical. Zia Yusuf, the head of policy, said this is a blatant attempt to stop big reform wins next May. It's an act of a desperate government clinging to power by any means necessary. You, representing the Tories, you've been very, very critical. The Liberal Democrats have been critical. The Green Party leader, even Zach Polanski, says, I think it will strike most people as wild that Labour can go knock on doors, realise they're about to lose elections to the Green Party and then delay them for 3 years. I mean, it's quite something to unite Reform, Tories, Lib Dems and Greens against you. Here's the question, though. Were the Tories the party most likely to benefit if those elections had gone ahead?
It doesn't matter. I mean, you don't cancel elections. As I say, you don't cancel elections because they're going to be a tough set of elections. We know that the elections next spring are going to be a really tough set of elections for us. You don't run away from democracy just because it's difficult. And I think what happened is this timescale was put in place by Labour shortly after their general election win, when they thought they ruled the world. Yeah. They thought it was going to be easy. They thought they were going to dominate. And I think that they intended to lock in that advantage at local government level as well as Westminster level. What's happened in the intervening 12, 14 months or so is they have set about alienating the British people at an electrifying pace.
It is quite something. It's got to be said.
It is a historic level of ineptitude. And of course, what's happened now is they're running scared. Now, the point is, we knew at the last general election, we knew we were going to have a bad night at the last general election. We didn't cancel the elections. In fact, Rishi brought those elections forward. We confronted the British people. We took our message to the British people. We weren't successful in that election, but we did the right thing. Labour are running scared, and the British people can see that, and they are angry because democracy is about holding people to account at the ballot box. And if you deny them the opportunity to do that, you set yourself down a very, very, very dangerous path.
We have seen...
I hate this. I hate what they've done.
No. Well, indeed, we've seen numerous U-turns by the government on many issues, largely forced by outcry on Labour benches of MPs. They're not going to have an outcry about losing a load of councils or not winning a load of mayoralties or council seats coming up next May. They're just as worried about this. In fact, the only person they want to lose is Keir Starmer and possibly the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, as well, about this. But, I mean, is there any way that this can be stopped through any mechanism in Parliament?
No, we don't know yet. We're exploring that. I've been on the phone this morning, as I say, with my friends in local government, with experts at Conservative Central Office, my parliamentary colleagues, my shadow ministers who have got a huge amount of experience in local government. We're trying to see what we can do about this. And the simple truth is, of course, because this is unprecedented. Quite often, with regard to holding the government to account and making sure the government behaves properly, there are well-established procedures, but this is unprecedented. This I mean, they call it delaying for 2 years. It's cancelling elections in all but name. We've not had to deal with this at this scale twice in a row like this. Yeah. So we're looking at what we can do. The short answer is I don't know yet, but we're not going to go down without a fight.
Okay, just finally, before I let you go, as a former Foreign Secretary, can I just ask your thoughts on where we are with Ukraine? We've got more talks going on, whether in Moscow or in Florida and White House, wherever. We've got Zelensky touring Europe still. Foreign affairs ministers been meeting in Brussels this week, and you know, the NATO General Secretary sort of singing the praises of the sun god Donald Trump on he's the man who can make all this happen. But do you see any hope whatsoever that there can be some sort of peace deal that would be acceptable to the Ukrainian people that could be on the table?
Well, in your question, you've hit on absolutely the right point. Whatever the peace deal ultimately is, has got to be acceptable to the Ukrainian people. They are the ones who have put their brothers and sisters and sons and daughters into the firing line. They are the ones. If you go around Ukraine, I've been to Ukraine a number of times as in my role as Foreign Secretary. You see paraplegics everywhere. You see people who have lost limbs because they fought on the front line. Everyone you meet has lost someone close to them in the conflict. They cannot reasonably be asked to sacrifice so much and then to have it all be for nothing. So the Ukrainians have got to be happy with whatever deal it is. We've got to make sure that this cannot, must not, will not happen again. And Vladimir Putin is trying to lock in the gains that he's made through aggression. He cannot be allowed to do so. The NATO Secretary General is right. Donald Trump, the US, is the most powerful player on the pitch and therefore has the most influence. And I really, really hope that President Trump himself and the people around him are coming to realise now that Putin is trying to manipulate everybody, including them, and they must stand firm in their support to Ukraine.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us. Sir James Cleverly there is Conservative, Shadow Local Government Secretary, of course, Housing Secretary as well, and of course, former Foreign Secretary. Philip Ingram, could you come back in on Ukraine? We talked so many times about Ukraine. You know, lots going on at the moment. There's talk about, taking the money that's all been sitting there, that's been basically confiscated in European banks, and then threats from Medvedev, a former president of Russia and a close ally of Putin, that, well, if you confiscate that money, that will mean war. The NATO General Secretary basically it's just constantly just praising Trump, speaking to Trump over the airwaves. So the whole thing here is just they're not trying to win Putin round. They're not trying to win Ukraine round. They're trying to win Trump round, aren't they?
It's to try and stop Trump going down a rabbit hole that is going to be very difficult for the international community to dig itself out of again, and make a decision. It's got to the point now where it doesn't matter if the United States almost walks away and does nothing. That would be better than the United States making a decision against Ukraine.
And saying we won't sell any more weapons.
Exactly. Vladimir Putin started this peace process with his 28-point plan because he wanted to stop Tomahawk cruise missiles being given to Ukraine. He wanted to stop the EU from seizing the $300 billion that's in EU banks and get and convince Donald Trump that could be given to him, or a big chunk of it given to him, the United States, knowing full well how to play Donald Trump. He's playing Donald Trump like a master.
Oh yeah, I mean it's actually embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing.
People like Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, just horrified by this and desperately trying to work with the Europeans to get some sanity.
He's trying to undo the damage that Witkoff is doing. And what really concerned me was Jared Kushner getting involved as well, Donald Trump's.
Although he's played a blinder in the Middle East, he's much more respected than Witkoff.
Yeah, but this is very different, and the trouble is both of them. It's very difficult to say they don't have other interests from a real estate perspective. If you start to drill into the past of deals that are going on, and therefore they should declare that interest and almost step aside and not get involved with it.
Very interesting.